Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I have a book review of the book Star Trek Vanguard Precipice by David Mack. I have been reading the Star Trek Vanguard series for quite a long time now. It's one of the longest journeys of my Trek fandom, although it's interesting. It's one of the more interesting journeys for me. I have one video that I've made on Vanguard. I combined a discussion of the first half of the series coupled with my review of the fourth book. And that is on, you can find that on the channel, my Open Secrets review. But let me just give my brief thoughts on the first four books of the series, and then I'll talk about my thoughts on this book. So I read book one, Vanguard Harbinger, back in, I believe, 2017, so it's like 6 years ago. And I thought it was okay. I didn't love it, but I didn't absolutely hate it. There are things that the characters do in this book that really frustrate me, that make me think those are not values you want to support. And maybe the way that the book handles things, it's kind of saying that those characters were wrong for that, but still, I do not like the values in the book. So that was the first book, Harbinger. Then you have the second book, Summon the Thunder, which by Dayton Ward and Kevin Dillmore, which was unfortunately very dull, and I just had no fun with this book. Then you had the third book, Reap the Whirlwind, which was action-packed, which was story-packed, which advanced the plot forward, but I just don't care for the villains, the Shaddai, or the just the general story that was telling. And I read both of these back-to-back in 2020, in late 2020. And so after that, I was a long time before I picked up Vanguard. And then sometime around spring of last year, I picked up Open Secrets, which I thought was a step in the right direction. It was a okay, maybe I'll even say a good book, but it wasn't a great book. It started to advance a lot of the story, and it really told a great kind of legal thriller story as a subplot. But other than that subplot, the rest of the book was only mediocre. Now I get to the book Precipice that I finally got to by David Mack this year. And this is the first great book in the series. I don't think that this book takes it to the level that other Star Trek books have reached in terms of quality, so it's not up there among favorites. But I can finally say, hey, they finally delivered a great Star Trek book. This is the shortest Vanguard novel. One of the later books is like 1 or 2 pages longer, but this is the shortest one at the moment. And it is very fast-paced. I was able to read this super quickly, not just because of the short page count, but because of just the breakneck pace of the storyline. This book basically follows a bunch of pairings. You pair several characters together, which I think works very well for this book. This book also does not have the Shaddai in it, except for a little portions here, little portions there. The Shaddai are not the focus of this book, and I think that's what makes it just really work for me. Another thing with this book that I really appreciated was the way that it really advances the characters and advances the political subplots. You really are understanding how the different political groups are working together, as well as how the characters are working together. The political stuff was explored a little bit in Open Secrets that I appreciated, and even to an extent in Reap the Whirlwind, but it's also explored here. But the characters are the key concept of this book, because this is the first book that I really enjoyed the characters. So let's talk about some of the pairings. You have Tim Pennington, the reporter, gets paired up with T'Pring, who last we saw was going to Vulcan to try to heal. They're trying to heal her in Vulcan, and their storyline was hilarious because they are two very different characters, and I really liked their dynamic together. They end up going on. She's kind of becomes a fugitive, and so she's trying to get evidence to help her case in court, and he's trying to just go along for the ride. And so their storyline, because of how different their personalities are, they actually meshed really well together and just made a fun story. Then you have the subplot of Quinn, Cervantes Quinn, and you also have the character of Brittany Mack. and the two of them are working for Starfleet Intelligence, going on various missions throughout the book that all kind of tie into one big mission. And that was just delightful. Seeing Starfleet Intelligence the way it should work, I think. Seeing it was really just entertaining here. And they are super funny. Cervantes Quinn particularly is a funny character, and Brittany Mack plays off him really well. And there is a cute will they, won't they that I really appreciated in the book. Then you also have the pairing of the characters that are on Vanguard, particularly the characters of Reese and another character that I won't spoil for you. And that was a really fun dynamic. There's a romantic element of their subplot, but there's also some more happening with the overall Vanguard story. So because of how fast this book was, because it was so character-based, I really enjoyed it. The others felt like the first three felt world-building based, which was, if you like that type of thing, that's great. But the world building just didn't work for me. I understood it, but it just didn't work for me. Then you had book 4, which was really plot based, and there was a little bit of character development with some characters, which is why I liked it more. And then this one is really the character development book that has some plot and some political stuff, but it's the character stuff in this book that works so well. So I really enjoyed it. I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10. Like, really entertaining. It's not up top tier, top shelf stuff, but it's really entertaining. So I have 3 more books in my journey of the Vanguard series. I have the novella collection Declassified, which is written by the 3 authors plus one of the editors of the series. You had Dayton Ward, Kevin Dillmore, Marco Palmieri, and David Mack. Palmieri and Mack kind of created the idea with Palmieri as the editor and Mack as the writer, and then they brought in Dayton Ward and Kevin Dillmore as other writers on the project. And so this is a novella collection set before the station is fully built. It's like when the station's almost done, so it's set right before book 1. So this should be just an entertaining, quick novella collection. Then you have the penultimate book in the series, What Judgments Come, which is just a book by Dayton Ward and Kevin Dillmore. It's also pretty short, but I think it'll be very entertaining. And then you have the big finale, Storming Heaven, by David Mack. I've heard that this book brings the thunder and really is really entertaining for a lot of people. So I'm interested in reading this book eventually, and reading all the books. So that is my review of the book, Star Trek Vanguard Precipice by David Mack. If you've read the book Precipice, what did you think of it? And if you've read all the other Star Trek Vanguard novels, what did you think of them? And leave all your thoughts in the comments section down below. And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.